Did anyone happen to see the Tournament Arc show last night? Hope y'all had a good time. Woo! Everyone who's on stage played in that show. And a few of us, Toasty Marshmallow, are in the audience right now. So, hi. I'll go ahead and start us up on this one. My name is Mason Lieberman. We are Tournament Arc. This is the legendary John Robert Matz, amazing composer. The effervescent Casey Lee Williams, incredible vocalist. And the wonderful, talented, he played synths with his feet while playing guitar last night. What the hell? Yusuf Musavi on guitar. And we all work in the professional music industry, on video games, and on anime, and on multimedia in general. And we're here to talk a little bit about that, and mostly just answer questions. So pretty much the way that this is going to work is super, super simple. If you have a question, line up right here. And that is literally the panel. We are here to talk to you and answer questions and discuss a little bit of what it's like, how to survive, and hopefully I wake up in the next minute or two. So does anyone want to start us off with a question?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Hi.
It is on. Do we know which one it is? We
Hold
played
on.
this game before.
Also, can we give it up for the volunteer who's not even on shift and it's still help 6?
Try it now.
Hello, hello.
Nice.
Beautiful.
All right.
That's like my height.
Should we do like a little credits bit? What do we
Thank you.
Yeah, we can if we want to.
Looks good.
Oh.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi.
So my question for all of you are, what were the baby steps that you took in the beginning that got you to where you are today?
I think maybe I'll start on this one. I think that a really important first step when you're trying to break into any industry, but especially in music and especially in multimedia, is building up trust with other people, building up relationships so that people know that you're reliable, that you have a skill set that can contribute, and that you are able to be a team player. At the end of the day, working on music is 100% a team sport. It doesn't happen without all of us. No one is like a lone island doing things totally isolated. And if they are, a lot of times, that's just not quite as exciting or good as what it could have been with other musical involvement. So it starts by going out there, trying to meet people, and building up relationships, building up a reputation, and being reliable. I've always argued that it isn't so much about what you do on a given project that matters as whether or not you were trusted on that project. Because if you do something well and you can be trusted to do it, then most things, generally there's a follow-up, or the same team goes on to do something else, or people jump to another project and they're looking for someone to do the thing you did. And that's going to be the opportunity for you to start to grow a career as people go, oh, well, I worked with John on this other thing, and he was amazing. Hey, John, are you available? I'm trying to hire for these 3 things, and you did one of them. And then John can say, oh, actually, I do 2 of those things. And that's where you probably get the opportunity to start doing something new. That's how you kind of grow.
Yeah. In addition, kind of building on what Mason said here, not only do you need to have work on your craft to get to the point where you are at a level that is comparable to everyone else in the industry, which is a huge thing by itself, but have a group of friends that you can use to give you honest, authentic feedback on that as well. And these can be, and the nice thing is, if you can go to things like MAGFest, go to things like Game Sound Con or GDC and meet with other people in the audio community, you can make those connections and you can start to form those friendships and those bonds. That's really a huge thing. And even if you are doing stuff mostly by yourself as a music producer, as a person who is like, in my case, I do a lot of my compositional work is me playing most of the instruments myself and then bringing in a handful of friends for things to build on that. Even in that, in that realm, you still need to have that kind of that reliability and those communication skills to work with the rest of the team, to take directions from a director, or to communicate with people more effectively. It is one of these things like that is a skill that you have to kind of cultivate over time. I'm sure someone out there has like a system that is ironclad of checklist of do this, then this, then this. But for me, it's always been this very organic, you built it up over time. You be a personable person who is easy to talk to and be communicative. And that's really the biggest thing. It's just the thing that I've heard from when things go questionably with composers or audio folks, there's a breakdown of communication. And that's kind of the worst thing. And that's where you hear, yeah, he disappeared for 3 months and I didn't know why, and I'm not bringing him back for the next project. Are you available? Which is cool for me, but it makes me feel real bad.
Yeah,
So
that's why he keeps taking my jobs. I disappear for 3 months.
Mason likes to take these unexpected 3-month vacations. It's a real problem.
I'm like a new kind of werewolf. Like, it's not lunar, it's like more quarterly.
The blood, though, is equally hard to get out of his shirts, which is why I'm sorry.
It's true. My wardrobe budget is extensive.
Yeah, they've made some really, really important, incredible points already. So I don't even have necessarily too much to add to this question, which is a great question. But yeah, I hate to say the word and talk about the subject of networking because it feels like such a weird, I don't know. It's such a strange way to discuss meeting new people and making like really important like lifelong connections,
It's
which
such
that's
a-
what you're trying to do.
It's like a corporate thing, networking. We must
Yeah.
network.
The way that I always tell people is you're not you don't look at it as, oh, I'm going to go to this thing because someone's going to give me work and I'm going to get money from it and ooh. Like, no, replace networking with making friends.
Yeah, I've never met someone at a thing and walked away with a job. I have.
I
met
take
s-
most of those jobs.
It's
That's
true,
why.
he does. That's why. I have met people at a thing and cultivated a friendship over 2 years, and then I get a call or an email, and we spin something cool up together.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And I know, a couple of us went to Berklee College of Music, where this is always a part of the discussion. Especially when you go to a music school, you can learn a lot from the classes. That is 100%. That's why you're really there. But I think that especially a school like that, it is about the meeting people aspect. And that doesn't mean if you're I would call myself an introverted extrovert, if that makes any sense. Yeah, that sounds like the right term. I love people. I love talking with people, and I can talk for days and days and days. I'm very talkative, but I can only do it for so long, and I'm really bad at approaching people. If there's someone that I really want to meet and introduce myself to, I have a very hard time actually pushing myself to do that. But if someone comes over to me and starts talking to me, it's like, oh, cool, new friend. It's like immediate. So at Berklee, that was the coolest part of really attending that school, was being in a place that's so diverse and naturally making these connections. I'm in a band, and my bandmates and I kind of have discussed this idea of when you're making music, are you making it for yourself or are you making it for other people? And I think that it should be a healthy dose of both, but the more important thing is to make stuff for yourself. And if you are truly passionate about whatever it is you're making and you work hard at it and you're consistent, that is going to show. Other people are going to see that and they're going to be attracted to it and they're going to want you on their projects because of what you are showing the world you're passionate about. So I think the most important thing about this industry, apart from just making, trying to just make a genuine connection instead of, talking to a person like, okay, what can I get from you kind of immediately, is like, just be honest about what you love. And we're all nerds here. Like, we're gonna nerd out.
Speak for yourself. I'm very, I don't,
Yeah, he's
I'm not
so-
nerdy at
so-
all.
No, you're not. Wait.
But yeah, like if you're just honest and upfront and you talk to whoever it is, whether it's someone like someone you've never met that like might work in a coffee shop or a restaurant, or they might make the music for your favorite game you've ever played and you've listened to their music millions of times every day, whatever. Like, you just talk to them the same way that you would. Like, it doesn't. It shouldn't matter. You will have a nice conversation and you will connect on something, and they will remember you if you talk to them like a normal person. Because I don't know how I got on that tangent, but
So, before we continue, quick logistical thing. Everyone shift one mic down so that Shihori can also have a
So
mic.
you take your mic and pass it to him.
nice.
And then we make sure her mic works.
So, and also I will take the moment to do an introduction for Shihori, and also to mention some of the things people have worked on, because maybe that will provide some context. Everyone, give a hand for the lovely, talented pop star legend Shihori. Shihori made her J-pop debut. Shihori is a bona fide J-pop star and international badass of a musician. She made her debut at Atlantis, one of the major record labels in J-pop, when she was 18? Younger?
18.
How old were you when you debuted with Atlantis?
27.
27. Okay, you were a little. Okay, fair enough. This is on me for not remembering the dates, but Shihori-san debuted at Atlantis Records at 27. She has done lyric writing, working with Yoko Kanno. She's worked on songs in Fairy Tail, in League of Legends. She's worked on PUBG Mobile. She's worked on a million different things. She's an incredible, incredible artist based out of Los Angeles now. Everyone give it up for Shihori. Yusuf, the guitar player, runs a really cool YouTube page called Animize, where he breaks down and analyzes anime music. He is an academic. He is a badass independent artist. He is a metal musician. And he's a dear friend who has also worked on projects, and I just don't know what they are.
I've composed for games, mixed, mastered, all that stuff. Yeah.
That. Everyone give it up for Yusuf. Casey, I feel like some of you might already know Casey. She's an amazing, amazing vocalist. She made her recording debut at 11 or 12, like really young, singing on the Red vs. Blue soundtrack before becoming the lead vocalist and primary artist for the RWBY soundtrack. She's contributed to a lot of video games, a lot of shows. She's an incredible, incredible singer. If you saw her at the show, you know just how amazing she is. And she's also currently fronting the Sonic the Hedgehog tour that Sega is doing. Casey Williams, everyone. John is the composer and recording artist behind a lot of incredible game soundtracks, like current indie darling Chia, for the King franchise. He's worked on Star Trek Online. He's worked on so many different things. You worked on Star Trek Online.
Yeah.
Took you a moment to remember.
As a player, yeah, I've definitely recorded horns and trumpets and stuff like that for. It's fun. That and let's see what else is like. Gunpoint way back in the day was one of my first games. I think my microphone is incredibly soft now. What am I? Is it this one? Is it 3? There we go. Hello.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah. Things like Chia and For the King. Fun fact, I didn't know I was going to do this today. I got drafted, and so today I decided to don my attire as the Bard for Wandersong, a character that I sang. So if you've ever played that little game, I am the Bard, which is fun.
Can you live demo how the
Can I-
bard works?
I mean, yeah,
so
sure.
that people realize.
In Wandersong, it's this lovely, absolutely adorable game by the people that went on to make Chicory, which I think is an even bigger breakout hit. But it's their very first game, and you play a little bard who is trying to save the world. They are not a hero, but they are going to try their very best, and they are going to sing to help everyone with their problems. And so you control, movement with the left stick, but the right stick controls your voice. And so you have a little pitch wheel around the character, and you use that stick to select notes like beep, do, and we have a whole lot of little snippets that we recorded, just like gigabytes and gigabytes of audio of different vowel and consonant combinations for every possible note, and then like multiple versions. Like there's like versions when you're like when they're like scared, it's like and so you'd like sustain this note for forever, or like ones where you're just like depressed. It's like, how do you sing depressed? It's beautiful. But it's a beautiful, lovely game, and so you can play this and make me sing if you like. And I absolutely didn't expect to be doing a live demonstration of being the bard. But
John graciously joined us last minute. One of the Tournament Dark members is sleepy.
He's
And
eternally
so
EP
I was
after
like,
the
well,
show.
if we still show up with the same number of people, they can't complain about our contract. So John's fulfilling our contract.
glad to be here.
And I'm also here. I'm an audio director at Tencent and composer and recording artist on a lot of games and anime. Some of the soundtracks I've contributed to include like Pokémon, Super Smash Bros., League of Legends, Rising of the Shield Hero, Beyblade, on and on. A lot of fun stuff. So yeah, that's us, and we're ready for our next question. Woo.
Hi, this one's for Shiori. So I'm a huge fan of Symphogear, and I know that you were the lyric writer for Final Commander. What was it like writing that, since it's the big, showstopper in episode 1 of the last season? And what's it like to work with Nana Mizuki in that type of situation?
Thank you so much. Is it?
What channel are you?
Oh,
There
yes,
we go.
it's coming. Thank you so much. So, Symphogear. So, I wrote the lyrics for Symphogear for the first time. The first one was Glorious Break, and the Final Commander was the last one. And I really loved 2 of those Symphogear songs, and it was very different from any other like opening themes or like ending themes, because it's an inter song that was used in the like final episode, the final battle, bam, 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 ha! type of scene. So I needed to understand the message really, really deeply, and so Agematsu-san, the original author or the composer from Elements Garden, so we are friends, and so Agematsu-san sent me the scenario, all the scenario of the anime, and okay, I'm gonna read everything. So my biggest work is to read all the script from the beginning to the end and understand the message and really dig deep. And so just try to be Hibiki or other like characters, and like wrote the message, and Hibiki or Tsubasa, and it's really amazing work that contribute to this world deep. That's one of my favorite things in anime songwriting. And but for Nana Mizuki, so she's my biggest client since I started this career. So 2009, 2009. So after I worked with Yoko Kanno for Macross Frontier, and so Yoko Kanno gave me a lot of confidence. Then so right after that, she picked my song for the first time. Then so we started working together, or she kept picking my song out every time, and so I've written many songs for her, but she's really amazing. She's one of the most amazing J-pop artists I know, because her personality is so exceptional, and the musical talent is really exceptional. She's really generous and talented and respectful to anybody, everybody. And is so sincere to fans. And she always meets the fans' expectation, and it goes beyond. And so super inspiring to work with her. And I'm so honored. And so I'm not sure how she's popular in America, because the King Record limits the audience on YouTube. So, but she's really amazing singer. So I want everybody to check out her music. And Sym4 is so funny, like interesting, cool anime. So please check it out. Thank you so much.
If you have questions, by the way, I think we should probably just line up so that we can see how many questions there might be, which can make it easier for us to make sure we don't go too long or too fast or whatever. So thank you. Proceed.
Just real quick, can you repeat the name of that artist? Can you repeat the name of that singer one more time?
Nana Mizuki,
Gotcha. Thank you.
N-A-N-A.
Gotcha.
So,
And then my question is, for each one of you, what is the most emotionally impactful to yourselves thing that you've worked on, the thing that resonated the most with you, whether that's a song, a game, you know, an entire series of something, and why was it impactful to you?
maybe just go down the line from
Okay,
y'all.
so, thank
Just
you
pick-
so much. So from me, as I mentioned a little, so Yoko Kanno, working with Yoko Kanno was the most impactful work with me. Obviously, that was Macross Frontier, the movie. The song was Universal Bunny, and at the time, so I was from in Lantis record label and Nissan label, and I was doing my stage under my stage name Senna was my previous stage name, and but I was facing a lot of troubles that I wouldn't be good if I stay here. Then I tried to shift to more songwriting gig at the time, and it's a similar thing to Casey was saying before, and that I was saying out loud that I decided to work with Yoko Kanno really a lot, and one of those people who listened to my story got appointment with Yoko Kanno as producer, and I went there together and talked with them, and they gave us a special competition for the lyrics for Macross Frontier the movie, and I won the competition, and I got to work with Yoko Kanno for the first time. Then so that was so hard, it's thrilling, and it's so difficult to meet her expectation, but she gave me a lot of compliments, and my mind was bang. Yes, and so she changed my mentality. So she influenced me so much. So this work became super special.
Mm-hmm.
So cool.
I want to say the most impactful thing was getting to work with Darren Korb on the most recent album, arranging a song that he did and then having him sing on it. But funnily enough, my story also involves Yoko Kanno. Yeah.
This is gonna be a trend.
Ever since I was quite young, I had a picture of Yoko Kanno on my wall, and I was thinking if I could just one day have her hear something I do, that would be the best. And she opened up auditions a handful of years ago for a YouTube channel that she was doing called Session Stardust, and it was actually for
I think it was
Lion.
Tank.
No, was it Lion?
Space Line, yeah.
Space Lion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I auditioned on the guitar, and I found out that I'd got it because she'd posted my audition video on her YouTube channel.
Wow.
And so in that, yeah, that meant the world to me.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll be doing my master's on her, actually, funnily enough.
I guess for me, that's a little bit of a cop-out because for me, like the job that I've been sort of doing for the longest, which is making the music for RWBY, Rooster Teeth's animated series, like has always been very emotional. And in the past like 2 years, it got even more so because I basically like took over the job. So in case anyone here doesn't know like of that series or what my role is in it, so that's an animated show that's like very anime inspired, but it's made by Rooster Teeth out of Texas. So it's US and it's all American voice acting. And my dad, named Jeff Williams, made the music for like basically all of the show up until like a year or two ago. And I've always been like the featured vocalist on that. So I only started doing my own writing for that show fairly recently, but for years and years and years, I would basically just record and learn what he wrote for me. And so that show was created by Monty Ohm, was an incredible animator and person, and he actually passed away right before the third season, or right after the second season ended. So basically working on that show after his death was like always just emotionally impactful. Like it has been forever, just because you want to live up to what this person envisioned for their story and their world, and the music that you're representing, or the music that you're writing to represent that place. And so for the most recent season, I took over with a good friend of mine who was the guitarist in my band, and he's also a composer, Martin Gonzalez. So we kind of co-wrote all of the songs for Volume 9, and that was like so incredibly emotional for me because I was able to finally like write for myself and like bring my own influences into the music and into the show, and like that just felt really good. And I don't know, it always like I just never stop thinking about while I'm making that music how lucky I am to get to write like for this incredible world and these characters that my late friend made, and like I just feel so like humbled to get to do that, and I'm always hopeful that I'm doing it right, but anytime that I have any doubts, I just like remember how passionate he was and how passionate I am about the music, and I think he would like it because I'm excited about it. So that's always been very emotional. That train never stops, especially when we have to write like sad ballads that go in the show, because a lot of the time they hint at him or they're a little bit about him. It's dramatic, but, but yeah, that's my answer.
Well, boy, it's hard to follow these up. I think it's very hard to choose like just one thing. So and this may be a recency bias, but I'm gonna go with earlier last year, I guess now, because we're just into 2024, we launched a game called Chia, which was the second game from the developers Awaseb. And it was the first time that I really got to work with a lot of, like, has anyone heard of this game by any chance? A couple of people, cool. All right, so it is basically this big, like, open world, third-person adventure set in this fictionalized version of a real-life place, New Caledonia. And one of the things that we wanted to do as we were making it was to really, like, I had a very strict instruction to, like, we gotta make the music feel like it's from there, like it's influenced by the music of New Caledonia. And I got to work with a lot of singers from New Caledonia. And because this is this small island country, basically in the middle of the ocean between Australia and New Zealand, like there was no way to like be in the studio with them or get like live stream from the recording sessions, etc. And so I would write all these instructions, and then they'd be translated into French. I prepare all these parts and like sing everything myself so they could hear it because they don't read music, and then I would get stuff back. And as I was getting this stuff back, it's just like hearing this magic happen, that like you're creating the blueprint for a thing, and they're taking it so much further and bringing so much of this passion and this energy and this vibrancy that you dreamed might be there, and then it's there in the real thing. And I think like probably one of the most touching moments in the whole experience was getting, I don't want to spoil anything in the game, but there's a character, Aya, who is played by Aya Salihula, who is has just a absolutely lovely voice. She only sings in one song, and this is like this very touching moment in like the third act of the show, of the game, and getting that recording back and it just being like perfect. I didn't touch a single note with Melodyne. I didn't like tweak anything. It was just this flawless performance, and I don't know, that just like, I think I like. It sounds incredibly pretentious to just be like, I think I probably like wept a little bit like in the studio getting this like one wave file from this from like take 2. There's no other takes. Cool. That's all they got, and it's perfect. And just like this weird connection you feel with a person who you've never met in face to face on the other side of the world, through 2 layers of translation to bring something to life, that is spotlighting a culture that you have done your best to respect, and like that is not yours, that you're celebrating in this way. Just a really exciting, neat moment.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I'll try to keep mine super tight. There are kind of 3 things that pop up for me. One of them because what it meant for a friend to let me do a thing. One of them for what it meant to return to something, and one of them for what it meant, to my inner child or whatever. First one was Star Wars Visions, and I got to contribute to the soundtrack of that one as a cello soloist, and it was really kind of meaningful, not just because like I was a Star Wars guy growing up. My bar mitzvah was Star Wars themed, like it's been a trend. But because it was completely and utterly unnecessary for me to be involved on that soundtrack. They recorded the entire thing live in studio. They had full budget to record with like good artists, good strings. They did not need a separate cello soloist. And the only reason that I did it is because the composer was a really dear, very special friend of mine, and he knew how much it would mean to me. And so that's one that I think about a lot, even though what I did was objectively unimportant. Like, it wasn't required, it wasn't necessary, it wasn't a huge part, but the fact that he included me meant a lot. The second one, to kind of synthesize both Casey and Shihori's answers, starts with kind of why my career ended up the way it did. I owe a debt of gratitude to Casey's dad for being my first employer. I actually started originally as a cellist and then an arranger and finally a composer working on RWBY during some of the earlier years. And that led to a very fruitful career working in a lot of Japanese media on anime and video games and all kinds of stuff that has been an incredible adventure. So not RWBY itself, but when they did the anime adaptation, RWBY Ice Queendom, that was produced by Studio Bones, they actually, because I'd worked on the Japanese side of the industry for a long time, I ended up being one of the people who was brought back for that show to contribute a little bit there, and that was really special as a result. And then finally, during COVID relief, and John and Casey and Shihori were all actually on this, I ended up producing a charity vinyl of Cowboy Bebop, The Real Folk Blues, in collaboration with Yoko Kanno and the Seat Belts and the original cast and crew of Cowboy Bebop. And that soundtrack got me into jazz, man. That is such a huge part of my musical DNA that the idea of getting to say a little thing on something that was then released by Sunrise and by Funimation as an official piece of additional canon to support charity relief. It was one of the most beautiful musical experiences I can imagine. Everyone just showing up, contributing because we believe in it, and just, yeah.
And how many people were on that one track and YouTube video?
Oh, God.
You Say Run?
That was, You Say Run was like 90 people or something. It was like high 80s, I think. Guthrie Govan is on that track. Like,
so cool.
June Senaway from Crush 40 is on that track. Austin Wintory's on it. Casey's on it. 30 cast members from My Hero Academia are on that one. Like, it's like an absolute monstrosity, but like also very, very fun and very beautiful.
I know it was different, but that one's also was for charity related, and I think that's always so cool that like you can bring on the most people as soon as you're like, I have a charity thing, and this is what it's for. You have all these cool.
That's why I
folks.
love doing charity work, because
Yeah.
like every once in a while I'm just like, all right, this one's for the people. We don't have to worry about figuring out the budget. I can take that part of my producer hat off. I can just think about what would be like the coolest thing we could make, and then whatever it earns, we just give it to like a cause that deserves it.
Yeah.
And that's always so much fun.
Yeah.
This one's for Casey. What is your favorite like soundtrack that you've worked on, whether it be for RWBY or your own band, OK Goodnight, and like the meaning behind it?
Oh boy. Okay. So like, what's my favorite soundtrack, like of anime or video game or?
Or like anything you've really like majorly worked on?
Okay. Well, that is tough because like I am probably at the moment like most passionate about my band, the project that I started at Berkeley. Or I can't really take credit for starting because I got invited to be a part of the project. At first it was like a bunch of prog instrumentalists just jamming together, and then they were like, I feel like some vocals and some melody would be really good for this. Let's see who we can get in here. And then I just immediately connected with the music in the first rehearsal that I went in. And like, I never intended to be in a band. Like I was in a band in like middle school, I think a lot of us were like in bands in middle school or high school. And like, that was not, it just wasn't right. I think it's really difficult to be in a collaborative group that will just flourish and everyone will like get along and like everyone wants the same thing for a project or whatever, or everyone is like open to just whatever might happen without a plan. And I think that's why I feel like extremely lucky to have like gotten into this group of people because like I said, I wasn't looking to be in a band or be a front person in a band. It just happened, and like they became some of my closest friends, I think, that I will have for life. And like I just started to feel that what we were creating together was so special, and we were all just, we figured out pretty quickly after we wrote this second album that we just put out this past year called The Fox and the Bird. It's like a fantasy concept album. We worked really hard on that, and we experimented a lot, and it took us a couple of years to finish the album. And I think we realized after we finished that and put that out and went on our first tour last year that like this is just something that we really, really want to keep going with and give it our all, basically, and it just could be the thing for all of us. So I feel a lot of passion for that project right now, but I know it's like, the dumb cop-out answer, but everything that I've done and get to do feels special, like in its own way. Like I said in the last, or a couple questions ago, like getting to do the RWBY Volume 9 soundtrack and like really put my own stamp on it and like take it over was incredibly intimidating at first, knowing like what I had to follow given my dad's whole discography. But then as soon as I sort of started, like everything came pretty naturally because I was just liking what I was doing, and Rooster Teeth was liking what I was doing, and it was just sort of working. So that one I was very passionate about as well. So hopefully, I'm sure in a couple of years or maybe even next month, I will have a different answer for what I'm most passionate about. But that's how it goes. Yeah.
Woo!
Thank you for hosting this panel today. This is great. Hi, John Robert. It's nice to see you again.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Mason. I was going to ask John Robert about how it was going to work, how it was like working with the indigenous kind of people, developers on Chia. But you answered that question beautifully already. So I'll ask a different question to whoever it is relevant. What is your favorite thing about working on a AAA game or anime versus working on an indie project? Like, what are your favorite aspects of either kind of development?
I'm going to challenge us all. We have to keep it to one sentence.
One sentence. Jeez.
Very succinct.
It may be run-on sentence,
Yeah.
but sure.
I really enjoy the flexibility that type of budget provides to be able to provide working opportunities to musicians.
For AAA?
Yeah. You enjoy getting paid.
I mean, so comparing AAA and indie, I mean, I don't know.
That was your sentence. There.
Hey, done. Great. No.
I'm kidding.
Wow, I don't know if I could do this. Honestly, like, since most of my experience is in indie, I really like the wild swings and fun chances that indie developers will take. There's so much usually bound up in the AAA space that you have to make this happen to a certain level that is expected, and everything is riding on this. But you can get away with some really cool stuff and be more experimental and adventurous in the indie world, and I think that's neat.
I don't have an answer yet, so you have to go.
My work in composing is also more in indie games, and more to your point, this is not one sentence, I'm sorry. Or maybe it's just a run-on sentence.
Lots of semicolons, it's fine.
Yeah, the amount of freedom I was given in those scores is just completely unprecedented. No.
Sorry,
The amount
Shihori's on the social game. She's very good at it.
Thank you.
Every time we invite her to a party, every once in a while, like the second I start saying something that shouldn't be on camera, where I'm like, oh yeah, we're working on blah, blah, blah. I turn around and Shihori's filming this, and I'm like,
She did that to me yesterday.
Please don't sell this to IGN.
I literally
please.
was in the middle of saying, oh, I have to pee again, wow. And she put the camera on.
Beautiful.
She has excellent timing, is all I'm saying. It's
was
what
just
makes
gonna
her a
s-
great singer.
I was just going to say, like, the lack of oversight. I mean, there's oversight, but small teams, you'd think kind of being beholden to, like, one person, like one composer, would kind of feel tense. But in those kind of situations, they're often giving you an enormous amount of creative freedom, an opportunity to kind of do whatever you want. Usually, they're hiring you because they want you to, they want to see your vision come to light. And so, yeah, that's an incredibly powerful experience, very empowering. Yeah.
So to me, so I I grew up with listening to anime music or Beethoven, and so specifically really
Very similar. If you,
influenced by anime music. So
A lot of secondary
I feel
dominance.
like living in a dream just in this industry. So that's the most fantastic thing.
Yeah, I feel similarly. I really enjoy, there's kind of a similar theme here, but like I enjoy the surprises of being given a job. Maybe it's already a melody and lyrics that was already written for me, and then I get to just perform it and interpret it as best I can and give it my own personality. And that can be a lead vocal, or it can be like a choir part. And I really have enjoyed seeing whatever the final product is and not ever knowing whether it's going to be something big or if it's going to be within a sea of something greater. And I just love getting to be a part of of projects, and sometimes not knowing what the end result is going to look like or sound like, but knowing that I was in there is always so special. So I like that.
All right. So a bit of advice that I see a lot for game audio is finding your niche. So for a lot of people starting off, it's like, oh, I can do everything. I'm like the every guy. When it's like really what people are looking for is a more like narrow approach, or like somebody who's
specialist,
really,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly, specialized. And I was wondering if you guys could either give a piece of advice or give your stories as to how you found your niche, that sort of thing.
Can I do this one first? Okay. So the advice, like all this advice, is like reasonable, but you have to take it like in the right perspective. It's a good idea to have. When I first started, I was always told, or I was hearing a lot of, yes, you have to be able to do sound design and implementation and music if you're going to be able to make it. And I think that's maybe kind of bunk. I think you need to be able to do. I think it really helps and benefits to understand the disciplines that you're not involved in to some degree. You know, when you're writing music, knowing what the sound design's gonna be like really matters, because you don't want to be playing in the same frequencies. You know, you want to make sure that you're writing around that, etc. If you're, vice versa, if you're doing a lot of sound design that has melodic or harmonic elements and it clashes horribly with the music the composer is writing, maybe that's not the right way to do it. So having some idea of what the other discipline, is doing is something to maybe consider. On top of that, yeah, there's definitely an aspect of, as a composer, like, yes, I should be able to write anything. I want to write chiptune stuff for this. I want to write this retro, 32-bit sounding stuff here, and then full orchestral, lush John Williams-y things. And I think, like, that's cool. It's really neat if you can do that. I've definitely had to put the chameleon hat on, like, multiple times and write things like, one of the things I've done for the last since they started until this last year, is do the music for the Devolver Digital E3 shows, which is, those are very stupid and very fun. And I've gotten to like, all right, we want it to be like RoboCop, so I'm doing Basil Polidorus. And then like, no, this year it's Evangelion. And so I'm like doing a deep dive and writing like that music, and it's, and other stuff. Like we want Ennio Morricone spaghetti Western. And so I've definitely done those things where you're imitating other styles, and it's fun, and it's actually a really good exercise to be able to do that. But you really should try to find the thing that works best for you. And going back to a question very, way earlier on was, making those contacts and getting those connections and then getting those calls. That stuff happens a lot more readily when you have a thing that is you. In my case, I like to think that it's like melodic writing, like a strength of melodic writing, and a sense of like vocal line to the stuff that I write, and maybe like a little bit of a sensitivity, perhaps. And like, so when someone looks at a game, they can go, this seems like a John Robert Matz game. Like I could see this working, and I've gotten calls from people that, have said, this seems like I've gotten recommendations because this felt like a thing that fit me better than, maybe the person that they went to. Whereas someone could be like doing like a synthwave thing, and they're not gonna want me. They're gonna want someone cooler, And so like, there's definitely an aspect of that. I've taken up a lot of time, but
Sure. I'll take a really quick stab on this one. Speaking as an audio director in this case. So for those who don't know, audio director, I'm the person who's in charge of the audio discipline on a given title or at a studio, and I'm often the person who hires all the sound designers, all the composers, so on and so forth. I usually describe careers in media score as like composers and as sound designers as having something of an hourglass shape, where when you're starting your career, you don't have a ton of agency or control over what jobs people offer you or they think of you for. So you need to be versatile and flexible so that you can say yes to as much of it as possible and do a good job on as much as possible. You don't know what you're gonna get, and you still need to make rent. So having a wide skill set helps a lot with that. Yeah. However, to build a career, people need to think of you for something. People need to go, oh, I want this melodic soundtrack. Well, I love John's melodies. I should call John. Because you need them to think of you. You need them to remember you. And they're not going to remember you if they can't, like, hook their hat onto a reason to think of you in that moment. So having some kind of identity, some kind of brand, a niche, as you would say, is absolutely vital in growing your career to a certain point. And then, as you start to get work in that area, you'll find that if you don't have a way to express that versatility that got you started, you get pigeonholed, and slowly you start to lose work because people go, oh yeah, I want a melodic soundtrack, but you know, John's been doing so much lately, I don't want to sound like all the other people who are hiring John, I'm gonna go with someone else. Yeah. And so at that point, once you've demonstrated your niche, that's where you need to slowly expand your versatility again to show that you are capable of doing anything, because people will sometimes forget where you started if they know you for one particular thing. Yep. So generally speaking, when it comes to finding that niche, you don't need to know it right at the start of your career, because you don't really know yourself at that particular stage. I don't think I knew like what my niche was musically when I was like 21 and out of college. Like, you figure it out through making music or sound or art or whatever it is that you do. And over time, you start to notice, like, oh, people really like it when I do this. I really like it when I do this. Maybe I should start telling people this is the thing that I'm, like, really, really passionate about. And maybe they will think of me for more of this. And, you know, it can take a few years, sometimes longer, to figure out what that is. But once you do, you know, unify your brand behind that, present this as the thing you focus on, and that's when you start finding you'll get more and more calls in that direction.
Awesome.
Yeah. And Shihori?
Yes, I have something interesting story. So when I met Yasuharu Takanashi-san, who is a Naruto composer, and so he treated me lunch and we talked about it. And so he told me something interesting. And so when he started his career as an anime composer, so somebody asked him to write music for anime. And what he told back was that, so I'm a metal person, so he's a keyboardist for a metal band called Yaiba. And so the music, the only music I will write is metal. And if you want me to write something other than metal, I'm not gonna do it. And if you force me to change my music, I'm not gonna do it. Then it's okay, please write. And he started it like that. And it's just he tries to push through with his metal soul. Then so he became the top music composer in Japan nowadays, and so that was really inspiring. That might not be something everybody can follow, but if you are like somebody really enthusiastic about your music, this could be really inspiring. Just wanted to tell.
Sure. Yeah. No, I need to at least, because yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling all these answers are so good. Jason, basically, I just want to emphasize that I agree so much with all of those. Like, I think you might get pigeonholed. You might, like, maybe the thing that people know you for is the thing that you do love the most, but it might not be, and I think versatility is a huge, huge superpower that everyone should try to learn, because maybe not everybody, like multitasking isn't necessarily everybody's forte, like it's very difficult, but everybody is usually passionate about multiple things or can be very skilled at multiple things. And I think in this industry, it's very important to showcase that and remind people of that. Because they might want you for this one particular thing, but you have more to offer than that, and you need to be confident in that regard. And I also want to piggyback on that statement of, like, if you are passionate about a specific type of music that you want to make for a particular thing, if someone's asking you to completely change that after the fact, or after you've kind of had a discussion where it seemed like you had all been on the same page, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, we kind of want to do this instead, I think it's totally okay to stand your ground and tell those people, what you're asking for, I will not be able to deliver. You should get someone else for that. This is what I can offer you, and I promise you I will do a damn good job at it, you know?
Yeah.
So, anyway.
So when I was studying game audio at Berkeley, one thing we did hear a lot, like the young students, was being a jack of all trades is kind of cool to get your foot into the door, right? There's no doubt about that. And especially when it comes to small teams, you know, there are some indie developers where maybe there's like one audio person, right? That's cool. However, I think a lot of people, they want to do something that they're really, really passionate about. Being a jack of all trades is awesome, but you sometimes find yourself not focusing on the things you really love. And then at the end of the day, it's like, why are you there, right? Is it just a paycheck, or, you know, there's something more fulfilling going on that you want to be pursuing? When it comes to finding your niche, which was also part of your question, one of the things I tell people all the time is like, don't pursue what you often envision yourself doing. Like, what is it that you just find yourself naturally gravitated towards physically doing? Like, when I was in school, I started off as a performance major, like a guitar major. You know, I had this idea in my head of being like a pro guitarist, but I'd spend every day of school just in my room composing. So I very quickly switched, right?
Right.
Yeah. And then when it comes to, you know, sort of advertising, that's what you do and getting better at it, find some kind of output. Like, not everyone has a job at an audio team or whatever yet, right? But let's say your thing is like, I don't know, audio implementation. Maybe you want to get, you know, WISE certified or FMOD certified. Make YouTube tutorials. We need more of those, you know?
God, yes, we
Right?
do.
Maybe start implementing some audio into like Unity, sort of like free games, and post videos of you doing that or whatever, right? Like, always have some kind of output that lets people see, oh, this is your niche, this is what you're dope at. And those calls will start to come as you make a lot of friends or as people start to see your content. And then when it comes to getting pigeonholed, make sure that you're always updating those things on what's new and cool to you, right? You need to keep advertising that, like, this is what I'm currently all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's
Thank you guys so
rapid
much for your
fire
answers. Thank
so
you.
that we can get through the last couple of questions. So let's keep the answers really, really short, okay?
Sweet.
Convenient. My question is very short.
Amazing.
So as someone who loves video games and anime, and obviously you guys like video games and anime and different soundtracks and stuff like that, what are soundtracks that you would recommend for other people to listen to?
I'm gonna keep this super, super tight.
Can I write it
Kill
down,
a
by the
Kill, Hiroyuki Sawano. Brilliant leitmotific
They're writing it down, they're
development.
writing it down.
I'm writing it down so I can listen
It's
to it
brilliant.
later.
It's
This is hard.
Okay, for video games, Outcast by Lenny Moore, 1999, I think. Moscow Symphony
God, I love
Orchestra,
Lenny.
tremendous score, and probably the one that made me realize that I could write video game music for a living.
Let's go.
The video game soundtrack that's coming to mind for me that was incredible, and I still listen to it all the time, is Gris or Grease.
Gris is such a good soundtrack.
Yeah,
I fucking love
G-R-I-S.
that game.
Yeah, it's just, I
Hard
think it's
language.
absolutely beautiful. I like a lot of movie soundtracks too, so
Do
I
you have a movie
sort
soundtrack?
of, huh?
Do you have a movie soundtrack to recommend? I will listen to literally anything. Please, I need more music in my library.
The Tournament Dark album is our favorite. All of us
Wow,
agree
thank
that.
you so much.
You're welcome.
Random, it's just what I'm thinking of, but it's one of my favorites. Swiss Army Man is one
That's
of
a
my
great
favorites.
movie.
Yes, one of my favorites.
Thank you.
Skip me for now.
I'm sorry.
You just bricked me.
I'm sorry.
So what I was really shocked past several years, it was soundtrack from anime Land of Lost Stars. Oh, you know that? Yeah, Fujisawa-san. And also he's my friend too now. And it's Yoshiaki Fujisawa. And that one is really unique and so different from any other music. So like, oh, this is so amazing. Please check it out.
Thank you. I
He was in a
appreciate
band. He was in a band called the Cabs. Just listen to the Cabs.
Okay.
Yes.
Yusuf, do you want to give your title answer only?
Here's a new one.
Oh.
The Dune soundtrack.
Yeah.
blew my mind. There are still things that I'm just trying to
The
figure
first
out
all the
what
games.
the hell they are.
Yeah, it's Guthrie Govan on electric guitar when they're playing the what do you call it, bagpipes. It's not bagpipes, it's
does
Guthrie.
anybody here know what that like djembe sound is in that soundtrack?
It's a sample.
But like
I know.
something has happened to it. Anyway, we'll talk about this later.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
We'll
Too
figure
hard.
it
That's
out.
too hard of a question.
We'll text
I
Hans,
appreciate
don't
it.
worry.
Hi.
Hi. So my question is, what is the weirdest or strangest job offer you've ever gotten?
Hentai. Next question. We'll go fast.
Okay, so this one's for Mason particularly because a while ago you would ask for people to send you songs and you'd give them feedback. I was one of those songs, and I'm still grateful for the feedback you gave me on my inspired song from Bravely Default 2.
Yes.
Oh, I'm flattered if you remembered. But anyway,
Are you Millennium?
No, I'm NC Symphonies.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
Okay, yeah, cool. So my question relevant to that is, which piece of advice do you remember getting that shaped how changed your approach to compositions? Like in a
I'm
fun.
gonna missay the quote, but I'll keep it brief. B.B. King, play and write music like you have to pay by the note. Almost every single time, and I think this is true of writing, I think this is true of composition, I think it's true of performance. All of us have an inner want or need to want to impress other people and show them how much we're capable of and how much we've learned. And that's not actually what makes the piece of music good, the story is. And most of the time, you could accomplish the same idea with fewer notes. I have a significant task fighting my inner maximalist, and I find that every time my music is better when I do less.
Thank you.
And we have to end here because it is out of time.
I'm sorry.
But we can chat outside the panels.
Yeah.
So we will answer any other questions outside of the panels. I'm so sorry.
Well, I'm a disabled veteran, so.
Sure thing. What's up?
Okay. What I'm hoping is that you would. I'm also a NASA citizen scientist, volunteer.
Amazing.
And the solar system and the stars make sounds. And with the 4 illogical wars that are going on, if you would consider being talented musicians to help bring the world together to make the sounds of the universe with your instruments, because we're not going to have a planet because we're on our way to World War III. And thank you. Japan has launched the 5th nation who have launched a probe to the moon.
Yes, they just landed today.